to the players. Sure. Just a battle. We knew it was going to be a battle, and obviously I got a ton of respect for competing against Mick. I mean, it's a challenge, and and he does a great job scouting. I knew coming into the game. I mean, I had an idea, maybe in my mind's eye, some things I thought they would do, and but I was guessing because they hadn't done them yet, and sure enough, they did them. And so it took us a while to find our way in the game, and our guys hung with it, and it was a gritty effort. It wasn't pretty by any stretch, and in the second half, I felt like, we kind of stumbled into a little lead on a couple just random turnovers. Then they kind of came back strong and got the game tight, and they made a run to get up, about 4 or 5 points, and our guys hung in there, and it was just kind of a game of adjustments. They fell into a couple actions that were successful that allowed them to go on a run, and they made the shots to go with it. And then we kind of fell into a couple actions, at the very end, and fortunately the shots went in on them. So great battle, and we're going to learn a lot from this, but a ton of fun.
You've done that for Jaden Bradley quite a few times this season. Another player maybe struggles, and then just what could you say about that performance, especially at the end?
Well, JB's got a great ability to figure it out, and then just a great ability, with his experience to be fearless and not be afraid to make the big plays. And when he kind of got that kick out from Mo on that broken play, and that pass was going to him, I had a really good feeling about that three. And it was just a big time shot, and then the finishes down the stretch of the game were impressive.
Coach, obviously Jaden down the stretch, but in the first half, Delly really picked it up offensively to kind of carry you guys. What can you say about your senior leadership on this team and how they performed down the stretch?
Well, it's really important. We know that the young guys are getting a lot of attention, but make no bones about it. We need our vets. They've been in these games before, and I'm asking them to make some sacrifices just because I'm trying to have a big picture in mind, but I knew doing this, I had a good feeling that Delly would own it. He may not love it, but he'll own it and he'll make the best of it. And tonight was impressive to come in and have 20 points, in Intuit Dome against UCLA on a Friday night, in November was an amazing performance. And you're right, we were down 10. And he kind of got us back in the game and helped us get a lead at halftime, and then obviously hit a huge three. I don't know, what were we down? Were we down 5 on that one? Was it something three? You down 2, and put us up 1. I think so. Yeah, I mean just a huge three. I mean, he and JB hit those 2 threes kind of there in that right slot, which were just huge plays, and then just the reliability at the end of the game for free throws. I mean, how much better it feels to be up 4 points than 2 or 3, in that last possession, and that takes some cojones to make those free throws, and he did that.
Tommy, how important is it for your program, for both programs actually, to keep this series going?
I mean, I think it's extremely important. I think it's both fan bases. I don't know. I don't know if it's a love-hate deal. Not for me. But I think there's just a mutual respect between the programs, and I think us programs on the West Coast need to protect each other. I mean, this is there's not a lot of us out here. There's a lot of space out west, and only a select few programs that are playing at that highest level, and us and UCLA happen to be a couple of them. So I think just the matchup's great for our fan bases, and I think it's great for college basketball, and I think it serves both programs well. And there's no shame in losing to UCLA, and I don't think there's any shame in losing to Arizona, and I think both programs are better for the game.
Hey, Coach. Matthew Ho with The Athletic. A lot of talk early on the season about this really highly touted freshman class just across college basketball. You have 2 of those guys, but tonight it was the veterans kind of stepping up. And for those freshmen, as teams are able to game plan for them more, how do you get them to keep learning and adjusting as they're going?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. They just have to keep learning, and the adjustments are going to come. I knew that they were going to load up on Koa today, and you can kind of prepare him for it, but at the same point, one of the things that makes Koa good is how physical and how aggressive he is. So I didn't want to overdo it with them and have them going into the game fearful. But I think it'll be a great learning experience for him. I mean, they were in the gaps, they were attacking his spins. But for me, I see that as an opportunity that we can create a lot of offense out of that. And so I can't wait to get a hold of the film for him, for Braden, and for them to kind of see, what adjustments they can make that can make the game come a little easier for them.
How are you able to hold Donovan Dent's limiting his scoring tonight?
I mean, I don't know what he ended up with.
Like 9 points.
I mean, we just, we feel like we got good size. And, we felt pretty comfortable if we could get downhill. If he got downhill and we just didn't give him absolute easy layups and we didn't foul him, we wanted to see how many of those shots he could make in size and traffic. And I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have made some. But you kind of have to pick your poison a little bit. And Bilodeau, they just do a great job with him, and he's become such a good player. For a kid from Eastern Washington to playing on the big stage in LA, and he's just a tough cover, and he has some great shots, and so it just makes it really difficult. And then hey, their other players are really good as well. I mean, the big kid, number 1, Booker. I mean, he obviously made some jump shots kind of early and got a floater going early, and you're like, man, that could be a tough cover. And then the 3-man, the lefty. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names, but he's just a really good player, and he got going a little bit there too. So they got a lot of good players. I think UCLA is primed to have a great season.
Questions for Anthony as well? Well, I was going to ask Tommy, just one thing about with Koa and the foul trouble. What's your thoughts on just the way you had Tobe and Mo playing together a lot more tonight, probably because of that? And
Bruce, you and I have been going back and forth this forever. I'm comfortable doing it. I think Tobe, like anything, needs a little more experience in it. I felt when he was at the game at the 4, there was a real physical presence we had. Tobe is also good defensively. I thought he was really good in those switches tonight, and then just was a monster on the boards, and he kind of had some just vicious drives to start out that second half. So no, I like it. I mean, it may not be aesthetically pleasing to certain people, but I think it's tough to play against, and that's what we're aiming for.
For Anthony, obviously you make the threes, but there were also a couple plays where you took it to the lane, layups. How much has that become more of a part of your game than maybe it was last year?
Yeah, I think something that goes unnoticed is that part of my game. Before I came to this school, that's really all I did, and I was a very downhill guy, free throw line guy, and then obviously coming to the bigger level, you get met with physicality, bigger guys, and you kind of have to adapt. So that's something that in the off season that I've gained, these muscle and this understanding of the offense. That's something I'm trying to bring back in terms of not really something I have to develop because it's already been there. It's just kind of been hidden.
Delly, down the stretch, obviously, how much does it mean to you to know that Coach has as much faith in you down the stretch and even in key moments of the game to put you out there and hope that you come through?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, obviously, when you have a coach that backs you and trusts in you, that's all you can ask for. It gives you the ultimate confidence to go out there and play your game. And if things go good, it's good. If things go bad, he's got you no matter what. So that gives me ultimate confidence, and I think he does that to a lot of our guys, and that just makes us go down the stretch with that building confidence that we can perform and execute and get the win like tonight.
Yeah, how you doing? Tony, you had a complete game tonight. You made a pass in the first half that was people that have covered the Clippers haven't seen that type of pass. And how did you feed off the crowd? The crowd was outstanding tonight.
Yeah, the crowd was great. Obviously we always have a good fan base. I thought UCLA had a great fan base tonight. But you got to do your best to kind of block that out. When you're talking about that pass, it's nothing more than I see my teammate running open, I throw it up there, and he gets in, makes a layup, and it's a simple play, really. But the crowd was great. When they had to run, their crowd got into it. We had to run, the crowd gets into it. And it was a great basketball game overall.
Delly, just following up on earlier in the first half when you guys were down there, did you see it coming where you get some looks like that and hit them, or was there an extra thought on your mind, as far as that you could really get you guys to get back in the game like that?
What's the question?
Well, I mean, just did you see that coming early on, and it just came, because you're coming off the bench this year a little bit different, and you go in and make a big impact right away. So.
Yeah, I mean, we scout all week. Obviously, we have practice, so you have a good understanding of what teams are going to do. But at the end of the day, you just got to be aggressive. You got to play your game and kind of be reactionary in a way. And I just came in and kind of saw areas that we knew as a team going into the game that we could exploit, and the opportunity presented itself, and my teammates found me in great spots, and I was able to knock it down tonight.
What do you guys say to Koa and your young guys after a game like this, where they're going to be doubled up, they're going to be going for them? How do you get them to bounce back, keep their heads up, knowing what you guys have next just in a few days?
You got that one, Deli.
We all know they're great players. I think everyone knows they're great players. Whether they've proved it on this stage yet or not, we don't take that as a doubting factor. The best thing I can do, JB, Tobe, us vets, Krivas, we can just take them under our wing, kind of let them know that, we're going to live to see another day. There's plenty of basketball to be played. Watch the film, whether good or bad, and just come back and get to practice, and don't stress about it really, because they're good enough guys, so they can take the criticism and move on.
For either of you guys, Coach Cronin said that the difference at the end was you guys were executing on the offensive end and they weren't. Just in comparison, how are you able to get baskets on one end and then get stops on the other at the end?
Well, we found an action. Ken Nakagawa, one of our assistants, kind of gave me an idea, and we ran with it, and it kind of put JB in a good spot those last few possessions. And then, we decided just to get a feel for what switching would feel like. And fortunately, we switched, and I think the ball kind of got out of Dent's hands a little bit. Bilodeau wasn't able to kind of get a rhythm three, or maybe where he creates situations where if you don't switch him, he pops and puts a lot of stress on your defense. So we just wanted them to try to make individual plays over our size, and then and then offensively, we found one little action that worked, and thank God we got up 4. And the game ended, because I'm sure if it would have went a few more minutes, UCLA would have had an adjustment we would have had to figure out. I mean, that was just kind of a game of adjustments the second half.
Coach, obviously Mo missed last year's game, but tonight had a really solid game overall. What can you say about just his presence tonight, how strong he played overall?
Well, I mean, I think Mo, is, and I don't want to say he's just scratching the surface, but I think, that there's some merit to that statement. Like, he's really going to impact the game. He's starting to impact the game defensively. He's starting to impact the game on the glass. You felt his size out there tonight. He kind of got a few jump hooks in there at the start of the second half, and he's really good at that. We got to get a little more adept at finding him, on some of those post ups, and in really utilizing that as a weapon within our offense.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Appreciate it.